Hey y'all, welcome back. 1776 Duck here. I cannot wait for 2025. So for today, I want to talk about the top 10 guns that I got in 2024 and kind of a couple other things with you. I do want to preface, I don't know what happened to me, but the voice decided to clock out for the day. I'm not sure what's going on with that, so bear with me having a little bit of a scratchier voice, a little bit maybe softer speaking, and I'm going to try not to be super long-winded today because, well, I just don't feel super up to it, but I want to get this video for you. Now, 2024. For myself personally, it's been a fantastic year. One of the best years that I can remember. I mean, I think we always say that at the end of the year, but truly has been an amazing year. For my firearms collection, it has been an absolutely unprecedented year. Truly, I've gotten some of the most important pieces of my collection this year, and I can't think of a year that was as big for my firearms collection as this year was. Now, professionally, oh my gosh, Alchemy Custom Weaponry. Excuse me. You know them, you love them, I work for them. Alchemy Custom Weaponry, we have had a phenomenal year. I cannot begin to express how proud I am of the gunsmiths of Alchemy Custom Weaponry, of our resolve to create, in my opinion, one of the greatest 1911s of all time that have ever been made. I truly believe that. We do a fantastic job. If you haven't heard of Alchemy Custom Weaponry, please check us out. That is my 9 to 5, but really it's more like my 24/7 to be honest with you. So with that out of the way, listen, we had a great year professionally, had a great year personally. Let's talk about the firearms collection. I'm going to jump right in here. I think I'm going to go wheel guns first, if you don't mind, and we're going to jump right into, I think it was the last gun I got actually, and that would be this absolutely gorgeous 1851 Navy Colt. This particular Colt was made in 1866. I got this from Marthaler's Jewelers in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a pretty great place if you're not familiar. They're also an Alchemy Custom Weaponry dealer, but of course I picked up this gun. They had a collection of some old Colt black powder pistols come in. The 1851 Navy being a gun that I've genuinely wanted my entire life. The first kind of like replica gun I ever had was an 1851 Navy. So they had a great price on this one. This one has definitely seen better days as far as finish and condition goes. But guess what? It still works, or at least it still cocks. I mean, everything on the gun mechanically hints to it possibly being, possibly working. But of course, I may not ever find that out, but this is a great pickup for 2024. Next on the list has to be the Smith & Wesson Model 27-2. It's now wearing a set of Altamont grips. It did have the Target grips on it. 27-2 5-inch barrel 357 Magnum revolver. If you know me, you know I'm absolutely obsessed with the registered Magnum. Don't have the money for a registered Magnum, but eventually I'll get one. This is sort of the grandchild of the registered Magnum, of course, 27-2 being in the lineage of the registered Magnum, one of the finest revolvers ever made. And, one of the key details on the 27-2 that absolutely just gets me all riled up is that top checkering across the top of the gun. That's a holdover from the registered Magnum, and in fact, no other Smith & Wesson, to my knowledge, other than the Model 27, kept that particular feature on it. I could be wrong about that, but I'm almost certain that only the 27s and the pre-27s, of course, and the 357 Magnums as well, they are the only ones that kept that top strap checkering. To me, this is not only one of the sexiest Smith & Wesson revolvers you could ever own, it has been an absolute freaking banger of a pickup. I got this from guns.com, somewhere I believe in the $600 range, which is nuts, by the way. That is what they had it listed for. I think $650 is what they had it listed for. Absolute freaking banger of a pistol. It is phenomenally fit, phenomenally timed. The trigger is great. I had a ball shooting this. I shot this next to a Korth. And listen, I'm not trying to tell tales out of school, but I actually enjoyed this even more than the Korth. Now, aesthetically, I enjoy this gun significantly more than the Korth. But just from a performance standpoint, man, there ain't nothing that beats a classic Smith & Wesson revolver. I think I'm going to jump over here. We have to talk about it. The freaking Colt 1917 Fitz. So I picked this gun up when I was with Ken Hackathorn. We bumped over to, oh, it must have been Montana for a little gun show, but we also hit up a bunch of gun stores on the way, and I picked up this this Fitzt 1917 45 ACP. I got to shoot it with Ken too while I was out there. And let me tell you something. It is a pretty awesome gun. I mean, there's really no way around it. It's one of the sickest guns in my collection. Actually, one of the cheapest guns in my collection too. It was in the back of the counter, kind of stuffed in a holster, and there was no light on it. And I kind of caught the trigger guard, and I said, hey, let me look at that. And it's actually got a lot of period correct work. Of course, it's not a factory Fitzt, but it's definitely one that was done in that time period. So a really cool piece. Unfortunately, I was shooting, and I think I got a hold of some hot 45, and the recoil shield that's right here inside of the frame actually blew out. And so hopefully I can send it up to my awesome friends at Griffin & Howe, and they will get it fixed up for me. I think they might even maybe toss a little engraving on it, get a little fancied up. Of course, as many of you know, Henry Fitzgerald is the person at Colt back in the late 20s, early 30s that had the concept of the Fitz, hence the name. And he was actually known for carrying a pair of new services, which essentially the 1917 is, in 45 in his pockets, a brace, if you will, in his front pocket. So this is a really cool gun. I absolutely adore it. It has a ton of period work on it, which is really cool for me to look at. And then also, of course, hopefully we can get this gun back, you know, back in fighting shape with Griffin & Howe. The next gun is the last revolver. Not the last revolver I got, just again, this is my top 10. So these are the top guns I got, in my opinion. And that would have to go to the absolutely gorgeous, I did a video on it, it's you should go check it out, absolutely gorgeous Colt Single Action Army. This is another guns.com pickup that was something that I've wanted my entire life. I mean, this is a grail gun of mine, and I can't believe, even today, even talking to you right now, I still can't believe I own a Colt Single Action Army. 7.5-inch barrel. This one's 1957 produced. It came with the box, all the paperwork, and even the warranty card that said this gun was sold somewhere in, I think, January something or other. I said in the video of 1957. It is absolutely an icon of American history and gun manufacturing, and I could not be happier to own a real deal Colt Single Action Army. God, it just awakens something in you as an American. Now, with the revolvers out of the way, we got to go to the 1911s. And listen, I thought maybe there'd be some other automatics in here, and I've got some cool ones this year. Plenty of 1903s. I've got 2 Lugers that are really cool, a Steyr Hahn. That's a really unique piece of, turn of the century automatic history. But let's be honest, okay? You know what channel you're watching. And you know that every automatic that I picked up that I thought was awesome is going to be a 1911. So here we go into the coolest 1911s. And honestly, I'm going to be quite frank with you, okay? Going to be transparent with you. This year's 1911 pickups, I don't know if I'll ever beat them. I don't know if, I think this is the high water mark for my collection, and you're about to see why. I picked up several of these, actually. I picked up 2 of these this year. I had gotten one last year, late last year, picked one up. To me, my favorite, if you had to say, hey, generally speaking, what's your favorite vintage custom 1911? Have to be one of these. That is the Wilson Combat. Colt, of course. Colt, built on a Colt government model. LE Comp. Holy crap, y'all. These guns make me smile. Shooting them is incredible. I've got a video with Ken on the LE Comp, but I'll give you a little hint. I've got a video that I'm making, I'm working on. I'm doing a lot of research. I'm reading back through Bill's book. I've been reading through American Handgunner magazines, calling Cameron Hopkins, calling Ken Hackathorn, hopefully getting in contact with Bill Wilson. I plan on doing an absolute banger video, one of those you're going to have to get you a cheer wine and sit down. It's going to be an hour, maybe even more, where I'm going to have all 3 of my LE comps together, hopefully some holsters, some articles from American Handgunner to point you at, some books maybe to point you at. This is not an easy gun to research, but man, I'm compiling a ton of research on the LE comp to bring to y'all so that you kind of know what you're looking for, and you also know the history of one of my favorite guns. So this is one of the LE comps I picked up this year. Obviously, me loving hard chrome, I adore the full hard chrome here. Um, it's just a wonderful shooting gun. This particular one, I believe, is 85, 86, somewhere in there. So kind of built in the middle of the 80s and is in actually really good condition. It was crazy dirty when I got it, but that's kind of how all the competition guns I've picked up from that period were. But it has cleaned up phenomenally. It shoots amazing. I think right now, dude, these are one of the best guns. I mean, I love LE comps. I think they look cool. They're great shooting. Really a special gun in my opinion. The next one is going to be another guns.com pickup. Has to be the Remington UMC, baby. Can you believe it? Remington UMC M1911, or model of 1911, U.S. Army caliber 45. Let me tell you something right now. Original magazine, check. Original grips, check. All the parts I can look at and tell, check, check, check. This thing is an absolute banger of a historical piece that you just do not see very often. Really, though, this is an incredible pickup for this year. As far as all my pre-war 1911s go, this one takes the cake. The gun is in incredible condition. I was actually on the phone with Caleb, Commando Bond. I was on the phone with him as I was going through guns.com, and I physically gasped. I couldn't believe that this is what guns.com had on there, and I immediately picked it up. No questions asked. What they were asking was entirely too low, first of all, and this is just an absolute banger of a piece of history. Of course, we're going to do a video. You know I'm going to do a video on the Remington UMC because it's interesting, because I have a Remington UMC from World War I, technically, November 1918. This gun never saw service in World War I. And then, of course, I also have the Remington Rand from 1943, which is interesting. Got the two Remingtons. And that'd be an interesting video to talk about the various manufacturers, how that all worked. But really, this is a cherry of a pickup, great condition. Supposedly, the person who owned it prior to me got it from their grandfather, who was a bomber pilot in World War II. But as you know, I never buy the story, I buy the gun. And while that is cool, I don't have any paperwork to back it up. So for right now, it's just on its own. Let's be honest, on its own, it's a mint UMC, Remington UMC, and I mean, that's just giddy enough as it is. So really incredible pistol there. The next gun, of course, you knew this gun was going to be on there. Alchemy Custom Weaponry. Classic Government. This has been my favorite resto mod of the year. I love the Magnum. Magnum's great. This gun I actually purchased myself. And this is an incredible gun. I've since fitted with some stocks from Wood Caliper. I'm going back and forth on ivory on it because I really like the walnut with the vintage classic finish. But this is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, 1911 that's ever been cranked out from Alchemy Custom Weaponry. I've got a Volkmann Precision magazine in it that was two-toned way back in the day. And then, of course, everything else is stock Alchemy. Alchemy Custom Weaponry, I work for them. Boom, there's a sign. I kind of, you know, led the charge on this gun. So there's a lot of special feelings about this. This is a little bit of an emotional. Right now, we're about to turn the table of these guns being cool just because they're guns, and we're about to start getting into the emotional guns. And this is certainly a gun that I feel emotionally connected to. This was kind of a project that was really my baby, and I really am excited with how this came out. I'm excited with the response that it got. In my opinion, one of the best guns Alchemy Custom Weaponry has ever put out. This gun is my personal gun, the prototype. Incredibly fit and finished. This is the gun that I wear most of the time when I'm on my demos. This is the gun I've been concealed carrying lately. The past few weeks I've changed my concealed carry to another one of these guns, but I carry this gun a ton. Excuse me. And it is, as far as modern guns go, I don't think there's one cooler. Period. The end. Next question. All right. And of course, before we get too far into the video, I'm sure we've gotten pretty far already, I do want to give a shout out to the channel sponsor, of course, guns.com, where I picked up this beautiful Colt Single Action Army, among other many fantastic guns this year. Truly could not do this without guns.com. They are forever in my debt. You should definitely check them out. You've seen some of the guns I've picked up on the certified used. There are fantastic pieces on there. There's Winchester 1895s on there, commemorative editions in 405. Okay, there's Lend-Lease Colt M1911A1s. There's a Colt Ace on there. There's several Nighthawks. Every once in a while they get an Alchemy. There is a vast amount of incredibly cool guns you can find on guns.com. I'll be honest with you, sometimes they are priced more market value, and sometimes, like this 27-2, it's a stupid price in your favor. So, of course, please check out guns.com. I don't know how you can let them know I sent you, but if you can, let them know. If not, it's not a big deal at the end of the day. I appreciate you. I definitely want to check those out when you have a chance. So these last three, okay? These last three guns are by far the hardest hitters of the year. And honestly, I'm going to be quite frank, the hardest hitting guns of my life. These guns, all three of them are extremely emotional guns for me. All three of them, one of them has its own video already. The other two will also get their own video. But these are guns that mean a lot to me emotionally, and also mean a lot to me just from a collection aspect of what they represent, and just as far as the library of custom guns that I'm trying to build so that I am better equipped to be the representative of Alchemy, which I think is the, product of the lineage of the custom 1911. So it's my duty, in my opinion, to be extremely well versed on the history of the custom 1911. I don't see a lot of companies do that, and I feel it's kind of part of our charge in this business is to show off and appreciate the things that came before. Now, with that being said, these next three guns are the top three guns of not only this year, they might be the top three guns of my collection. I do have a gun, kind of an honorable mention. I do have a gun being engraved by Griffin & Howe. It was an Alchemy Prime that I bought off of one of our clients. I really liked it. He had it. He wanted a gun of mine. We made a trade. I love Alchemies, and just because I work for them doesn't mean I want to buy them out in the open. I also got another Alchemy that was from someone else, not from the company. So anyways, your Alchemies aren't safe is what I'm trying to say. But I've got that gun up at Griffin & Howe being engraved and gold inlaid right now. So I think that one probably would have squeezed on the table if it was here, but of course it's in the middle of being made into the ultimate carry gun in my mind. It's got a little bit of shawl and performance work on it. Of course, the base gun itself is Alchemy Custom Weaponry, and then it's going to be hand engraved and gold inlaid by the beautiful master gunsmith, or excuse me, master engraver. I'm sure he's a great gunsmith too. Master engraver Chris at Griffin & Howe. Can't wait for that. But these three guns, we're about to get into them, and they're incredible. Also, got to give a big shout out to Hold Up Displays. Hold Up Displays. It's badass. There's really no good way to put this, no elegant way to put this. American-made walls to hang your guns on. It's just badass, y'all. That's it. That's all I got for Hold Up Displays. American-made, badass. Your guns look cool. You look cool. America looks cool. So up first, I want to just talk about a gun you've already seen, you already know, you already love, and that's going to be Ken Hackathorn's Colt Novak The Answer gun. I've got a whole video on this gun, so if you are interested in learning more about this gun, in particular, I have a fantastic, in fact, one of my favorite videos, if not my favorite video that I've ever done. Fantastic video on the Novak Answer that explains a little history on the Answer, a little bit of Ken's history, a little bit of just emotional stuff. But of course, this is the first gun I ever got from Ken. I bought this at the beginning of the year. He and I were, on the phone. You can watch the video and get the whole story if you want, but this is an incredibly important gun to me. Of course, not only being Ken's, but I have always loved the Novak Answer, getting rid of the grip safety, which I don't really think is important on a 1911. And this is the best way I've ever seen it done, this one-piece backstrap. Of course, there's a lot of homages to Swenson because Novak worked for Swenson on this gun. This is my favorite vintage custom gun from a fitting standpoint. I've handled a lot, and I'm sure there are some that are better fit than this one, but of the collection I have, of the collections that I've been able to see in the vintage gun world, there aren't many guns that are better built than this particular gun. Runs like a scalded dog. This is actually the gun I've been carrying the past 3 weeks. Ever since the kind of winter came around, I didn't have to worry so much about humidity and heat and sweating. I put on my blued gun, and then of course, Ken said it was proper for me to have a set of ivory. So this is pre-band elephant ivory grips on this gun that I've not removed, I've shot with. I actually took this gun with me to go see Ken earlier this year. And so this is a fantastic gun, in my opinion. One of my favorites, if not, well, I've got another gun that's probably going to be able to top this, but absolutely gorgeous gun. Will never leave my collection. Here we go next. The next gun, second, number 2, going to have to be the Swenson Bobcat. There's a lot going on with this pistol, so we're going to have to talk about it in its own video. But basically, an older gentleman named Jim Wood called the Alchemy line, wanted to talk to me, and we talked for a while. He's a great guy. We've talked several times since, and he said, hey, I got a Swenson I deployed to Vietnam with, and kind of gave me the story, the rundown on that, and I thought that was really cool, and he didn't really have anyone to pass the gun along with, and he had seen the video on this gun with Ken's, and he asked me if I wanted to purchase it. We agreed on a price, and a Swenson entered my collection. And this gun has a ton of history. Ken actually has told me this gun's pretty rare in its own right because it's a two-tone Bobcat Swenson, and it's obviously, pre-1970, so it does not have the shear pin on the K-frame sights. So this is a really, really cool gun. It does have a set of Harrods skip line checker and stocks, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm getting real hot for. I got 2 pairs. I just ordered. Probably going to order another pair. I think Harrods skip line checker and stocks are super gangster, so they still make them, so you should definitely check it out. Square guard. It's a phenomenal gun. Jake from 1911 Syndicate talked me into shooting it, which I wasn't going to do, because there's a couple things on these guns where if they break, really Jason Burton is about the only person that can fix them. And so I was very cautious with this gun, but I shot it, and my gosh, it shoots phenomenally. I mean, really good. And in fact, we actually shot a bone stock Colt from the 60s right before, and compared to those two, yeah, I could see why somebody would want this gun right here. Insane recoil impulse, unlike anything that I've ever felt before, probably because, of course, it's not a Commander, it is a shortened government model. So the slide has been shortened. It's actually a little bit longer than a Commander, tiny bit longer than a Commander, as I'm sure that he didn't have a standard for cutting those. I'm sure all Bobcats are a little bit different somewhere in them just because of how Swenson did. But this is an incredible gun, incredible piece of 1911 history. Let's be honest, Swenson and Kings, probably your two, I'd say godfathers, grandfathers maybe, of the custom Combat 45. This gun's got a big video coming. We're going to talk about the Southwest Combat Pistol League, hard chrome, Swenson, where the custom Combat 45, came and went. Big things coming with this video, and I'm telling you right now, a Swenson Bobcat that went to Vietnam, you can't beat that. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. Now for this next gun. You probably, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know what's coming, but if you don't, then this is going to be a good surprise for you. On its surface, if you were to walk into this room and look at these guns here, you would probably pick this gun somewhere in the bottom, I would say. If I said, hey, you can have any of those guns, you might pick this gun at the bottom. Because as far as its outward appearance, it's a little unassuming. Unless you kind of know a couple things, right? Now, I'll be honest, for my particular tastes, this gun is just damn near perfect. As far as what I like in a 1911, this is just about perfect. I can't really think of one thing I'd change on it, but really, the reason I like this gun is there's a lot of emotion behind this gun. And now I know Ken watches these videos, so, I'm going to try to not be super sappy about it because, he's a big, tough man. I am too. But this is a Colt government model that was built for Ken Hackathorn as his duty gun from like the mid-90s to about 2006, I think, by Dave Pegram of Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, there's a lot of things to talk about with this pistol. I mean, a lot, and this one's going to be a hard video too because Pegram has very little information about him, so I'm really going to have to rely on Ken. I'm going to have to rely on maybe Cameron Hopkins, some of the guys who are really there to be able to give you a good video on this gun. But what I can tell you is this is a gun that Ken carried when he was a police officer. This is his duty gun. He eventually had to retire it because the entire department went to, I believe, Smith & Wesson M&P 40s, which I'm sure Ken Hackathorn absolutely freaking loved. Not. But this gun's fantastic. We've got 20 LPI, top serrations. We've got vertical front cocking serrations, which are absolutely sexy. I mean, and I'm not a big front cocking serration guy, okay? But this particular gun's front cocking serrations are dead sexy. Square trigger guard, yeah. That's the big hotness. But I'll tell you my favorite thing. Of course, it's got a ring hammer. You know me by now. It's going to have a ring hammer. My favorite thing about this gun is the 20 LPI checkering. Absolutely perfect. This is the best checkering I've ever felt on a 1911. It seems to be machine cut, I'm sure, because Pegram was a badass machinist. So machine cut 20 LPI is damn near some of the best checkering you can get. I wish that we could offer it with alchemy, but everybody would complain and be wusses about it, and we'd have to send tampons, as they cried about it, and you can know where your tampons can go. So anyways, this gun is amazing. It's got an original set of micarta Hogue grips. Honestly, those deserve a video on their own. But this gun, the big reason, not only is it a unique piece of custom 1911 history. Not only was it owned by Ken Hackathorn, who's my hero, and of course, proud to call him a friend now. Not only is it an absolutely gangster 1911 on its own, but this gun was given to me by Ken Hackathorn after shooting with him for a weekend. And I'm going to tell y'all something, okay? I told you I wasn't going to get emotional, and I'm not, but there are a few things in my possession that mean more to me than this gun right here. And I am just telling you, it about got me when it happened. It's about to get me right now, so I don't want to get too detailed. But brother, I'm telling you, an incredible moment in my life when this gun was presented to me, and it is an absolute gorgeous gun. I've shot it. I will continue to shoot it. There's a couple of small maintenance things just because this gun's been rode hard that need to be done, that it will be done, but everything will be preserved. All the parts will be preserved, and this gun will be loved for another 100+ years or however long I'm, able to shoot. Not going to be 100, I'm sure, but excuse me. This is the best, my number one pick for 2024. My number one pick in my entire collection, honestly. And I highly doubt many guns will be able to top this, especially an emotional perspective. Truly honored to be a friend of Ken Hackathorn's. Again, a huge hero of mine. I never even thought I'd ever get the chance to talk to him. I remember going to NRA show the first time I ever went, and he was over there kind of doing a meet and greet. And I've always been kind of person that says, those guys, they have to deal with people all the time. I don't want to be another person who aggravates them, so I didn't go and meet him. And of course, he came up and came to me at NRA show a couple years ago, and we've been fast friends ever since. And genuinely, some of the best times of my life have been hanging out with Ken, talking to Ken on the phone. So anyways, this gun is a reminder of a lot of the stuff he taught me. Some of that is not all of the stuff he taught me was shooting related. Some of it was life related. Some of the stories he taught me that'll never get told because they probably shouldn't. This gun is a reminder of all of that. And yeah, it's an incredible gun. There's a couple things Ken told me that I'm going to keep private, when I got that gun. But yeah, it's been an incredible year. You don't have to have all these guns to have an incredible year. The experiences for this year have also been absolutely off the charts. I'm extremely fortunate to have a job that allows me to travel. Southern boy, barely made it outside of my own county growing up, but now I get to travel the world, of course. Several trips to Griffin and Howell. Listen, okay, when I die, bury me in Griffin and Howell. I love Griffin and Howell, love everything, all the people there. My experiences there have always been amazing. So I've got to go up to Griffin and Howell several times now. An amazing road trip with the 1911 Syndicate and my boss. That was just probably one of the greatest road trips of all time. And unfortunately, you could never know all the stuff that went on in that road trip just for legal purposes, but not really, but it truly was an incredible time. The trip out to see Ken was incredible, life-changing. I'd always dreamed of being able to shoot with Ken, train under Ken, and of course, he retired way before I got even old enough to buy a gun or buy a handgun. And so being able to shoot with him on his range, visit Idaho, which is one of the most gorgeous states I've ever been to. Truly, truly amazing. Developed a relationship with the guys at Milt Sparks. Nick, Jim Wall, everyone over there is an absolute saint of a person. And I genuinely think they're, you know, not only are their holsters amazing, but if you couldn't believe it, they are more amazing than even their holsters are. So, you know, of course, 1AT, you need to have one. Look that up if you don't know what that is. But I carry mostly in Sparks now. Been converted all the way back to leather. Every once in a while I wear a Kydex holster. But, of course, I got to go up to the Audrey Concorde Elegance, show off my lowrider, which was an interesting contrast to a lot of the guns or cars, excuse me, that were there. I took home 3rd place in the category. That's cool. Had a great time up there. Went out to Utah again, which is gorgeous. Utah and Idaho are my 2 favorite states to visit. Just been a really crazy year. Tons of traveling. Unfortunately, got me way off my gym schedule, but you know, I'm gonna try. And of course, this video, I also want to kind of plant the seeds for 2025. 2025, of course, there's some guns that I'm after, some special guns I'm after. The Colt 1905, the first 45, is definitely among those guns that I'd really like to add to my collection, and I'm really going to kind of condensed down. I know exactly what I like. I know exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm not going to kind of pick up every deal that is a good deal just for an investment purpose or what have you. I'm really going to focus on getting important historical guns, vintage custom 1911s, and of course saving a couple pennies so I can buy alchemies from myself because, you know, it's a drug dealer who also is addicted to drugs, essentially. So with that, I want to leave you with one other thing. There will be a video coming. 2025, turn of the you know, year here. SHOT Show is, of course, on everybody's mind in the industry. I've had a ton of people reach out to me. Hey, Eli, can't wait to see you at SHOT Show. Can't wait to see you at the guns.com party. Can't wait to see you here. We'll meet up. We'll have. Here's the deal, guys. And I'm gonna do a video on this by itself, but I will not be at SHOT Show. I was banned from SHOT Show. We'll get into that a little bit. It's a little bit of a dicey situation, so I'm going to have to approach it with a little bit of, you know, a little bit not me. I'm going to have to try to be a little bit of not me to approach this topic. So, of course, I do want to just toss it out there. So you don't have to ask me if I'm going or where can we meet up or if you want to have a steak or a pizza together. I'd love to, but won't be going, unfortunately. Kind of not unfortunately, though. I do hate Vegas. I mean, Vegas is like my least favorite place on the planet ever. And so I'm not 100% upset about that, but I am upset that I don't get to represent my company at our industry trade show, of course. So that does bother me quite a bit there. So with that, I promise I'll tell you the rest of it soon. It is a hoot. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're carrying cocked and locked.